Need more grok talk? Well, you can catch new shows Saturday mornings from 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Miss a show? Not a problem. Past shows are rebroadcast here daily from 9 to 11 a.m. Monday through Friday. Join us for 2 hours of unapologetic conservatism. And we're not just armed with opinions.
Rock Talk.
Welcome back to Grok Talk. I'm Steve McDonald here with Jane Cormier and Mike Rogers. We come to you live almost every Saturday from 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch us streaming live on GraniteRock.com, NHCRTheRock.com, and this program is broadcast on Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio. Great day. It's not snowing here. It's always a great day when it's not snowing here. I think the gentleman on the phone would agree with me. David Goethel is with us. He is, and I have this really awesome bio to read, the owner and operator of the Ellen Diane, a 44-foot fishing trawler out of Hampton, New Hampshire. So this is a guy who really works for a living. He holds a BS in biology from Boston University, has worked at the New England Aquarium as a research biologist, served 2 terms on the New England Fishery Management Council, which is probably hours worth of fun stories to talk about, and is a member of the Yankee Fishermen's Cooperative. Good morning, David.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing terrific.
Good, good. So glad to have you on because we have talked about this story, and we don't really spend enough time on it. You had some good press lately, Wall Street Journal, a couple other places. I was poking around looking for things. When you, we only have 20 minutes, so I'll let you quickly frame what this issue is for us, and then we'll ask you some questions.
Okay, well, as you said, I'm a full-time commercial fisherman out of Hampton, New Hampshire, and currently the government puts monitors on our boats, and these people basically watch everything you do and collect biological information, economic information. You know, they ask you how much your lunch costs, things like that. You know, the government pays for them. And the government says it doesn't have the money anymore, and now it wants us to pay for them. And the charge is $710 for every day you go to work. They're not going to cover every trip, but they cover 1 trip out of 4. So, you know, once out of every 4 days, I will have to pay $710 to go to work. The way I liken it for listeners who might not know anything about fishing is imagine you drive down, you know, 95, 93, whatever, to go to work every day, and all of a sudden you had to pay $710 for your own personal state trooper to make sure you don't exceed the speed limit.
That's and this is in the face of other changes that have come along. Where your ability to create revenue to offset these forced costs has also been reduced, correct?
That's right. In the last 4 years, I've had a 95% reduction in the amount of my principal species, which is Atlantic cod, that I'm allowed to catch. So, you know, my business revenue has been reduced greatly, and at the same time, from the other end now, they're trying to pile more cost onto us.
Are they trying to... David, this is Jane Cormier. I'm wondering, are they deliberately trying to put you guys out of business?
Well, I mean, you really have to ask yourself that. You know, their response is the usual, what I call government bureaucratic response. Yes, there'll be some pain and some people will be dislocated, but it's for the good of the world.
Yeah.
Now, you have I saw an online video, and I think it was from 2012, 2013, where you were talking about the impact of this on local economies and basically fishing villages. How many fishermen have we lost? What's the impact of the economy just on the reduction in production?
Well, you know, we've lost, since the start of this current management program, which is called Sectors, in 2010, we started with 23 active boats in New Hampshire. This past year, or this current year actually, we have 9. But that number is down from, in the early 2000s, we had approximately 100 vessels which participated in the fishery in New Hampshire.
Wow. You know, actually, here's a good question. One of our regular readers, and he wanted to know, and maybe you know the answer to this because you've been, obviously, I mean, being involved with the New England Fishery Management Council, having a foothold in the regulatory side of this as well as, you know, being an actual fisherman. He wants to know if you know what the legal reasoning the government used when they mandated the public pay for a license to fish from the shore, an act that had previously been free from the inception of our country.
Actually, I do know the answer to that. Again, they're trying to get a handle on how many people fish. They used to survey recreational fishermen, which was what your listener is, by randomly calling people in the phone book. So they had just as good a chance of getting a grandmother in Iowa as they did of getting somebody who lives near the shore and might actually fish. And from that, they determined how many fish were caught by the recreational side of the equation. Everybody complained about that because the number was wildly inaccurate. And they said, well, fine. The only way we can kind of narrow down the pool is to have people register to fish, and the $20 fee or whatever it is basically the administrative cost of creating that piece of paper.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
in other words, they're not making a profit on it, and it's run by the states. The downside of it being run by the states is that the licenses are only good in that state or perhaps in a neighboring state. So, for example, if you vacation in Florida, a license you buy in New Hampshire won't do you any good.
Yes, it probably costs more if you conceal your fishing rod, right? Just okay. So you are part of a Cause for Action and Northeast Fisheries Sector 13, which is a nonprofit that you're associated with. You guys are suing the Department of Commerce, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Where are you in this process? What do you think? How do you think it's going to turn out?
Well, I never handicap the outcome of a lawsuit because I'm usually wrong, but we had our first hearing in Concord on Thursday, and that hearing was for a preliminary injunction to enjoin the government from starting charging us for these observers. Currently, they claim they're going to run out of money on February 29th. They've pushed the date back, I think, 4 times this year. It started August 31st, and it keeps getting pushed back. But that's the latest date. So our hope is to have an injunction from the court that will enjoin them from charging people like me, because the day they start charging people like me is the day that I'm out of business.
Can I ask a question, David? When if that happens, what happens to the price of fish here in New Hampshire?
The price of fish is largely unaffected by local fisheries. Fish is a global commodity. That's been one of the great promises of these conservation NGOs is that, if we radically restrict the amount of fish you're allowed to catch in the United States, that prices will go up and you'll make more money catching a lot less fish. And that has not happened at all. It's actually gone the other way.
Yeah.
Prices for us have gone down because we lose our infrastructure, and when we do bring in some fish, there's nobody to, fillet them and move them to the market. So what will happen if we disappear is there'll just be more 747s arriving from Iceland and Norway and Russia carrying cod.
Amazing. Wow.
I just lost my train of thought. Oh, okay. I know where I was going. Sorry. I'm pretty sure, and you can tell me, that this is kind of a bipartisan issue. I have heard both Republicans and Democrats at the congressional level in the state of New Hampshire express alarm at this. Are you getting support from both sides of the aisle, and is this going to have any impact, do you think?
Yes, we are getting support from both sides of the aisle, not only in New Hampshire, but in the entire New England congressional delegation. They have sent several, I think it's 3 letters now, to NOAA Fisheries in the last year, signed by every congressional person in the coastal districts of New England.
Good.
To NOAA Fisheries, saying, first of all, find the money within your budget to solve this problem, and the other ones have been pretty much along the same lines, commanding them to do things. The response from NOAA has been very, quite frankly, if you boil it down, it just says no. They say our lawyers interpret the law differently, so apparently their lawyers are more important than Congress, and we're not doing what you say. So this is, an agency that, from my perspective, appears to be completely out of control.
Totally.
So they put the NOAA in NOAA.
Another one?
Yes, they put the NOAA in NOAA.
They put the NOAA in NOAA.
Favorite thing.
I bet they do. So you were a member of the New England Fishery Management Council for 2 terms, and this is kind of a regulatory agency. Tell us a little bit about what they do. Is there a benefit to their existence, or are they just another thorn in the fisherman's side?
No, the New England Fisheries Management Council, and there are 8 councils throughout the United States broken up by region, is an advisory body to NOAA fisheries. They create policy. NOAA fisheries can accept it, reject it, or reject a specific portion for a specific legal reason. They cannot modify it because they don't like it. But it's still an advisory body. So it's not a government agency. It's, the people that are on the council are nominated by the governors of their respective states in New England and then appointed by the Secretary of Commerce. But they're not government employees. They don't they get paid to go to the actual meetings, but the checks come from the New England Fisheries Management Council. They don't come from the United States Treasury.
That's good to know. Go ahead, Jim.
I have a question for you, David. Actually, 2 questions. So did the government tell you how they came up with the $700 plus fee that they're charging you? And do you think that this is part of a bigger picture that they're going to try to hit you for $700, but then, through the process, lowball it, try to get some money, by dropping it and making you feel like, well, at least they're not killing us at $700? Or do you think that they're just trying to knock you out, period?
How that number is derived is a great mystery. When I was on the council, and I was actually on it for 3 terms, we tried to get hard and fast numbers on this program for a number of years, and we got ranges. As best we could tell, the total cost of the program is about $1,200 per day. NOAA says they're going to pick up $500 for what they call their administrative side of it. And we're going to pay these for-profit companies. They're not part of the government. These are for-profit companies. We're going to pay them $700 a day. And when we ask, well, what does that $700 buy us? Because I talked to the individual observers on the boat, and most of them get paid between $16 and $20 an hour. That's a long ways from $700.
Amazing.
And the answer is, well, there's training, there's overhead, there's travel, there's the for-profit part of the profit in these companies, which nobody will disclose what that is. I don't know if it's 5%, 10%, 100%. But it doesn't matter. This is the contract. You have a choice. Sign the contract or don't fish. So to me, there's a very strong element of government coercion here. The government, holds its hands up and goes, "Oh, we're blameless. We don't, you don't have to sign this contract. It's purely voluntary." Well, if somebody tells you can't go to work or you sign the contract, I don't see how that's voluntary.
That is what they call a closed shop. That is what the right to work movement's about. It's purely illegal. And what if you decide you want to go fishing without one of these monitors? Observers.
I can guarantee you the Coast Guard will be there in a matter of seconds. We have, in addition to this, we have what are called a vessel monitoring system on the boat that we pay for that, again, is run by the government. It's like an ankle bracelet for the boat.
Scam. Oh, my gosh.
Even though none of us have done anything wrong.
Is it run off of a GPS?
It runs, it is a sealed unit that sends a signal to a satellite. The satellite sends a signal back to NOAA Fisheries Enforcement, and it knows exactly where that boat is 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. My last trip out, I was boarded by the Coast Guard. I watched the cutter come right at me from, on my radar before I could even see the boat. And he came right to me. He pulled up, and he said, "We know you're ground fishing." And I said, "Yeah, I am. I'm registered to ground fish." And I said,
wow.
"But, what do you know?" He said, "Well, we know because we have the information from your satellite tracking system, and I have to register before I leave the pier to ground fish. I have to send the government a signal that says I'm going fishing today." And they said, "We have that as well." So, they climbed in their raft, and over they came, and, Coast Guard has warrantless search on the ocean. They
Lovely.
went through the entire boat, and they had me all the net up. They measured the cod end, measured the fish, So, that's the question, is how much monitoring do we need here? I mean, we're already very heavily monitored.
Gosh,
is this, I mean, where's the fire? I mean, usually are there like all kinds of people out like fishing illegally, massively? Is it, I mean...
No.
No.
No, I mean, that's there's not even anybody left fishing, period.
That's true.
We had in the, early 2000s, we had about 800 boats from North Carolina to Maine that fish for things like cod. Currently, there are less than 100. And we have, I bet we have as many Coast Guard boats as we have people fishing for cod.
Gosh,
in that
what a
region.
disgrace.
We're boarded by the Coast Guard. We're boarded by New Hampshire Fish and Game. We're met at the dock by New Hampshire Fish and Game, by uniformed NOAA agents, by plainclothes NOAA agents. It's almost Orwellian at this point.
Think how much we could reduce our taxes if we shut some of these down. I mean, what's wrong with a simple fishing license? You arrive back with your load of fish, and the law basically says that you can't offload your fish, or the processor's not allowed to take it if you're fishing illegally. So, in other words, why do we need all this Orwellian monitoring? Why not just a simple thing that says these are the rules for fishing? You have a simple license, and they police the fish at the point
the government said so.
At the point of offloading, if they need to do it at all.
Well, I think there's two things there. Not only did the government say so, but you have in New England a very heavy presence of what we call ENGOs, environmental non-government organizations, and they are absolutely convinced that we're throwing fish over the side dead. We're doing all kinds of heinous things, and of course these people don't fish. These organizations are made up mostly of lawyers.
There's Pete trying to call us. He's early,
and they're calling the shots here. They sue the government if the government doesn't do what they want, and judges go along with them a lot of times.
Yeah.
So, it really is a question that people should be asking. I mean, these are nonprofits by nature. A nonprofit is only allowed to educate people on a subject. They're not allowed to lobby for a position, yet they actively lobby both at the council level, at the NOAA level, at the congressional level on a daily basis, and in violation of their nonprofit status. And they pay no taxes. They're a complete parasite on the system. Maybe hopefully your listeners will start asking presidential candidates, why these people, should maintain this nonprofit status.
I have one more question.
And why should they take government money to help them along too? Because a lot of these people feed off of government handouts.
Yeah, well, when you sue the government, you always sue to recover your attorney's fee. If you're a part of one of these organizations and you're a lawyer on full-time retainer, obviously, if you're not suing somebody, you're not earning your retainer. So they're like lawsuit factories. They're like lawsuit mills. They just turn them out on a pretty regular basis.
All right, I got one more quick question because we got about a minute left. Has anybody investigated the money trail to these private industries that monitor you?
Yes, there was a woman. I think the name of the organization was Greenwire, and she did a very good job of following the money trail of one of the largest of those companies, and it's run by a former head of NOAA.
Oh, there's a surprise. All right, well, David, we're out of time. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
Yep.
All right, good luck, and hopefully we'll be in touch again soon.
Okay.
All righty, thank you, sir.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yep, bye.
We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Excellent.